Hi everyone, how are you all doing? Hope everyone's well. Hello. Everybody okay? Alright, so we're on for like another 30 minutes or something. Try not to stay on mega late. Yeah, is everybody okay? Hope you've all had a good day today. We're almost up to 5,000 subs now, so just gotta keep going and yeah, see how this goes really. Hello, Piyush L. Pundit. Hello, Maheen. How you doing? I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you? Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. That would be really appreciated. Bro looks like broski. What you mean? Hello, BMX boys. Cool. How you doing? Hello, Kunja Kundis. How you doing? Hope you're well tonight. No, I'm not adding mods right now. Especially not people that I don't know. And Piyush is from India. Okay, welcome in. Nice to meet you. Hope you're all well tonight. I'm from the UK. We mean hello lady. I guess I'm a lady, yeah. But I could be though. I could just identify as whatever I want nowadays. Hello Plasma Kit. Hello Cherry Foo. I could identify as a sausage or a broccoli. And people would just some people would just be like, oh yeah, that's what you identify as. We'll just kind of accept that. Hello, otherworldly kitty. I don't support Starmer, no. I don't support any of these politicians, to be honest. Hit the like button, everybody. Subscribe if you're new. My name is Jamie. Well, I'm just deleting your comment, but that doesn't mean that I am just because you're just a troll. So, hello, the blue blur. How you doing? DSKI 1967. We talk about different things on here, different topics. Usually we just have discussions, debates sometimes, but as long as we keep it civil and not argue and try and, throw a hissy fit because we disagree or something, then that's fine. We've got to be able to respect each other's opinions, haven't we? Can you don't speak and just look at the cam, please? Okay. Right. That's out of here. Welcome in, people. Hello, Manchad. Hello there, it's Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump. It's so tremendous to see you all, you wonderful people. Oh, you patriots. It's difficult to understand your voice because in India we don't speak English fluently. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad. Hello, Mo. Huge development. Hello, DSKI 1967. Yes, I'm from the UK. Favorite music genre? I don't know. I quite like avant-garde and like experimental music. I quite like just kind of really weird kind of stuff. Like, I've been into bands like The Algorithm and Mr. Bungle and like stuff like that. And what else is there? A lot of that type of stuff. Like more obscure types of bands. There was another band I was listening to a while ago called Igor. They're like a mixture between baroque core and some like heavy metal influences, and it's just a weird mix of music, but I quite like the weirder stuff sometimes. Thank you, Karen. I can do, Boris, you're talking about Boris Johnson. So, we're going to get Brexit done. Hello, expat. Hello, Jack. The Prince told us more of this. He's King, cited King Charles. The King, yes, that is treasons. Call one of Prince Charles. I'm your king. The Queen has passed away and I am now the king. Yes. Okay. Can we just like not come in here with like racial slurs and stuff? Okay. Take over. Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Trump's just I don't know. Oh yeah. Hello, Ansley 95. Are you born in 95 as well? Hi, Boogie. We love to boogie on a Saturday night. We love to boogie. We love to boogie on a Saturday night. Nobel Prize. You mean Nobel Prize? It's okay to laugh. Yeah. Wales. What's occurring? My name is Jamie. Oh, only opinions. We love nightlife. Love to boogie. Huh. Hello, mysterious. Mysterious girl, I wanna get close to you. Oh, God. Where these valleys? We wear wellies in the valleys. It's always raining in the mountains. It's always pouring with rain here in the valleys. It's soaking wet. It's like rain. It doesn't know when to stop. A Cambridge accent, how would that be? Isn't that like a posh kind of accent or something? Okay. Make sure you subscribe if you're new here. You don't have any cheese. Who said anything about cheese? How do you make Welsh cheese? Carefully. Get it? Yeah, did you get that one? But do I remember the 90s? I was born in 1995, so I don't really remember the 90s. DS says free yourselves. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, I'm not in Palestine, so it's like, to be honest, it's not really a big concern to me personally, but it's just, I think it's just like a sign that governments don't give a fuck about people. It's just a symptom of a larger problem, which is government. The government is the oppressor. Most of these governments are quite oppressive, in my opinion. So, it's 40. How the hell would anyone think I'm 40? Are you just trying to I'm 30 years old. If anything, a lot of people think I look younger than my age. Not fucking 40. Fuck me, 40. God, the fuck. I'm sure you're just taking a piss, right? Come on. I mean, I know that the beard might add a couple of years or something, but come on. Maybe it's the facial hair, but when I trim the facial hair down, people legitimately say I look 25 or something. Like, most people usually say I look 25. It's probably once I grow out this, it then changes that, but yeah. Video quality, maybe that's part of it, but most people seem to think I look younger. But I've had people surprised when I told them my age. So remember when I was 27 and I said my age and they were like, "Oh, I thought you were younger than that." They thought I was in my early 20s or something at that point. I've had people shocked when I told them my age. So yeah, maybe the lighting doesn't do it justice or something. I don't know, but. And also the beard obviously is gonna, for some reason it seems to add years onto people's age, but yeah. I mean, I am someone that supports veganism as in just the kind of, I think that, it can be good if you can do it and it's not bad for your health, then I'm all for that. But I'm not about pushing it and forcing it onto people. That's where I disagree with it. Yeah. But I want to try and look young for my age, really. So I do find it a bit insulting if people legitimately think I look older, but I don't know, maybe it's the beard, I don't know, but I've had most of the cases people think I look young for my age. As soon as I got past my early 20s, people started to think I looked younger. But when I was growing up, people thought I was older because of my height and stuff. When I was 15, people thought I was 19, 20. Then when I got into my 20s, when I got to about 25, 26, then people thought I looked 21, 22 or something. But I don't know. I just don't like when people are trying to guess people's ages and then saying, "Oh, I thought you were such an age." It just makes me feel a bit self-conscious and you know what I mean? Unless people are gonna say that I look young for my age, unless you're gonna tell me I look young for my age, then I just don't want to hear it, because it's something I'm a bit conscious about. I don't want to look. I'd rather look younger than my age or older. So I don't want to hear shit like that, really. But I'm going to be 31 in July. So it's just, yeah. It's just these comments are just ridiculous. I don't know why I even bothered coming back on. What movie? What's that? Let's get off the whole topic of age. I don't know. Oh no, I don't want to completely shave off, because then maybe I'll look too much like a kind of you know what I mean, like a boy or something, as opposed to a man. But it's like I don't want to look old though, so I try to shave it. I tend to put it down to like a stubble, so I'm not like completely like a sort of, you know what I mean. Like it just, I want to still look a bit kind of masculine, if you will. So I kind of tuck it down to like a stubble usually. What you on about? You look like you've been happier a few years. Just go away. Yeah, if you have nothing good to say, then yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I tried to just kind of like, you know, I don't know. I think they're all just trying to like get under my skin or something. But I need to just stop reacting to it. It's just there's certain things that I'm a bit conscious about, like age and things like that, and how I look for my age and things like that. I don't know, because I don't want to be showing signs of aging and things like that. That's something that I don't want to be, you know. That's what I'm concerned about. If people start to notice things like that, then that's something I would be a bit kind of self-conscious about, because, you know, that's a sign of entropy and kind of, you know what I mean? Okay, thank you, Patrick. How you doing? I'm almost 60 and people say I look in my 40s. Yeah. It's better when people think you look younger than your age. Yeah, no, but it's better if you look young for your age. I mean, but, because that means I'm doing something right if I look young for my age. Like, I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't drink alcohol. So if anything, I should look young for my age, really. Yeah, no, but it's like, you don't want to age as fast as, you want to age as slowly as you can, really. I know it's inevitable, but you don't want to be like prematurely aging, you know what I mean? Yeah. It just, yeah, like people asking your age, it's just really, it makes me feel uncomfortable and just, it's like when, if people judge you out of 10 or something on looks and things like that, that's something I don't want people to be, it's kind of dehumanizing and just kind of, you know what I mean? So I was talking about this the other day about all that, really. No, I don't drink alcohol, no. But I've noticed a lot of people who drink alcohol, they tend to not age very well, shall we say. Also, ones who smoke a lot as well, they tend to age a bit more prematurely. So, also, if you have a lot of stress in your life, you would tend to age faster. But yeah, facial hair like tends to age people a bit. Well, one of it is because it can hide youthful features and things like that. And no, I don't do any drugs. No, I'm completely clean of that. Oh, Jasmine. Yeah, no, but it's like looks are a part of, like, as in, if you look like you're aging, that's a sign that your body's becoming, you know, unhealthy or whatever, and you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, there's some people that can look old but still feel good within, but what's happening on the outside is a sign of things becoming, you know, like, worn down, and it's not something I want to be reminded of, you know what I mean? Looks are very important. Well, in a dating context, they are important, but there is also a lot of other things that are important as well. And focusing entirely on looks in that context is probably not a good idea. There are other things that would be more important, I would say. The combination of other things like personality, goals in life, all these other attributes, somebody's character, are they funny? All these different things, all these traits would probably add up to more points than any amount of looks maxing would give you. I mean, there is a certain truth to that, but there's some people that take things to the extreme where they do bone smashing to get better looking. They'll do leg lengthening surgery to get taller, so they can become a cripple. It's just fucking mentally ill if you're at that point, I think. You've got to be so mentally ill if you're going to do shit like that. Like, I think if you're bone smashing, you're probably mentally ill. Like, your brain's been rocked by all the social media. You become insecure and become like resorting to desperate things instead of shadow work and working on yourself as a person. You then resort into a bunch of superficial bullshit that's probably going to be harmful to you. Oh yeah, Ozempic, that's another thing as well. Like, some people are just so irresponsible and yeah. But yeah, it's just obviously you can improve your looks to a certain point, but then it's like with a lot of things, there's diminishing returns to a point where you'd be better off focusing on other things. Like, you'd be better off just kind of focusing on improving other areas of your life. Because if you're spending an hour, 2 hours a day focusing on how you look, that time could have been spent doing something else that would give you a better bang for your buck. If you're trying to, but like, arguably some of these people a lot of these guys end up looking too pretty to a point where they look like women. They start looking feminine and start acting feminine where they become too kind of like fucking Patrick Bateman or some shit. Being vain. How is that attractive? You know what I mean? Like, if they see you doing that shit, it's probably going to be an ick. They're going to be like, this guy is spending more time on his looks than I am. Am I with some girl or something? Because that's what it feels like. I think you're better off just focusing on getting pretty lean, getting in good shape, building a bit of muscle, just being generally good shape, be relatively tidy, You don't need to do anything extreme. If anything, I would argue men are probably best off being a bit rough around the edges, Gives you a bit of character instead of being this kind of super optimized thing where I would argue at a certain point actually becomes a negative, where you become almost robotic. And a lot of these have robotic personalities as well. I mean, the only reason that Clavicular probably even gets any birds is probably because of his clout or something, I bet. He's got the clout, so he can, but he's not got really much of a personality. It's like you could be like the most attractive guy, and yeah, you might be able to get like one night stands and shit, but if you haven't got the fucking personality to back it up, good luck keeping them. Because they can probably find somebody else who looks decent but also has a better personality than you. If you're just some boring ass guy. Now, some people might think I'm boring, but I think I have some things going for me. I have certain talents and certain attributes that I think are valuable. I would say I'm quite a knowledgeable person in a bunch of different areas. I'd say I'm pretty well-rounded. So, anyway. What's soggy? Hang on a second. What you mean? How are you going to cardiac arrest over that? Train 2 days a week. It helps with the mind and physical fitness for day-to-day life. Yeah, true. Yeah, people oftentimes forget about how it's not just about the physical benefits, but also the mental benefits as well. The stress reduction. It's like you just don't have any sort of like. If you've done a hard workout, there's not even any energy left to really stress over anything, is there? Like, it's hard to really stress about life when you've just done a hard leg workout, for example.
You know, if you've just destroyed your legs or you've destroyed your chest or whatever at the gym or whatever body part, or even if you've done a hard cardio session or something, there's just no stress left in your body at that point, hardly, in most cases. Bulk, not great, yeah. I mean, clean or lean bulking, I mean, you have to eat in somewhat of a surplus if you're trying to build muscle, but as long as you're doing it in a way where most of that is muscle, then that's good. Well, there is that expat, but yeah. Hello, how's it around? But I don't want to be honest, I don't want to end up dying alone though, you know? That would kind of suck. The thought of just living this whole life and then just die alone, I mean, I don't know. At a certain point, I would want to maybe settle down and even have a family maybe at some point, but it's just, I don't want to kind of get my hopes up for that, really. I'd rather just kind of go with the flow, really. See what happens, you know? Hello, Falcon. How are you doing? Hope you're well. My name is Tan. How you doing? Yeah, I'm not saying it's scary. I mean, it's just, the thought of it's just not really something I want. You know what I mean? But the thing is that you could say, well, dying alone might be like 50-50, because let's say you ended up staying together, then one of you is going to die first, and if you died afterwards, then you could say, well, at least you can look back on all the memories of being with a person and that was a genuine thing, but it's just hard to come by these days, isn't it? People are so fickle now. People who just kind of, you know, just like fuck up a relationship over, you know, there's some like petty drama and they just, you know, throw it all away over that, you know. Anyway, it's just sad, really, but nature gore. Okay. Can't be arsed with all these comparisons to people all the time. It's just draining. Like, can we just maybe stop with all that? I'm not sad. He's talking to me. I'm not sad. I'm just a realist, you know. I just kind of, what I'm saying is that it's best to not get your hopes up and get attached to any particular outcome, is what I'm saying. If anything, I'm just, you know, just kind of like, more just kind of like protecting my own mental state. You know, you have to be able to be willing to be alone. You have to be willing to, you know, you have to accept that maybe you will be alone. You have to have a relationship with yourself is the important thing. That's the most important thing. You have to have a good relationship with yourself, self-respect and love yourself, you know. You should be your own priority, you know. Fuck everybody else, because you can't, the only person you can rely on 100% is you. You know what I mean? Well, God, to me, God is actually within. That's where I'm kind of going with my thinking right now, is that God is basically the eternal you, or I, or that I am. That's kind of what I'm starting to think. Spiritual non-duality, kind of like in the quantum mechanics or something, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm not 100% invested in that theory. I'm trying not to invest into any theory or belief system right now. There are things that are beyond any of our comprehension, but it's me against the world. Yeah, Scottish scenery, I think some of it's nice, but I think it's just that the weather can be miserable. That doesn't really help. like even in summer, half the time it's just miserable. You know what I mean? Especially up in the Highlands, it's just miserable. It's raining half the time, and yeah. I mean, it's nice and all that, but I do think it's maybe a bit overrated. I don't know. It's got its nice bits, it's got its nice areas, but I like the idea of going somewhere like the tropics or something. All the colours, you know what I mean? So many different vibrant colours. You know, the greens, the reds, because when it's in that weather, it just kind of, those colours really are bright and just, whereas I think of Scotland as just like grey and dull. Like it just kind of, for the most part. Whereas when you're in like the, you know, in the tropics, the colours just kind of are a lot richer. They're a lot less. They're a lot more saturated. The colours are more saturated. They're more. You know what I mean? Maybe we're all searching for unity. Possibly. Well, the unity is something maybe we have to find within ourselves. You know, unite as in a unit. We are all a unit. Unite with ourselves. I don't know. we are our own unit. We all feel disconnected and lonely, or everything feels artificial, and we don't. And we on the path to find unity. Well, the thing is, right, we probably have more in common. All of us probably have more in common than we realise. It's just we get so focused on disagreements. But if we could all come together and like say, okay, things aren't right. Like all this. Like if we could all just kind of just stop for a second. If the whole world could just, imagine if the whole world could just fucking stop for 1 fucking minute. You know, if everywhere in this world just stopped, everything, the whole world just come to a standstill and just stop and just think for a minute and just think, what the fuck are we doing here? What the fuck is this all about? What are we doing just chasing all this, you know, paper money that doesn't mean anything, doesn't have any intrinsic value? We're chasing all these material goods. What is this all ultimately for? What are we doing here? What is this life about? Why are we constantly trying to chase all of this? You know, if we could all just stop for a minute, turn off your phones, turn off everything. Imagine if the whole world could do this all together. If we all just maybe had one day where we just kind of, everyone would have to agree to it. That's the only problem. That everyone would just stop everything that they're doing. They all just basically said, you know what, we're all taking a day off today. We're all going to go on like it could be like a strike or something. Everybody just stops everything that they're doing and just calm the fuck down and just relax, and you're there with your thoughts, because maybe we could all just figure out something. You know, if we all had the chance to just stop with all the distractions, maybe we could see a much better world. Because everyone is so distracted. I don't know, 1 minute. Maybe 1 minute's not enough, but like, maybe an hour. I don't know how long it would take, but something to just really kind of force everybody to just, not force, because I don't want to force anything, but as in, they would encourage everybody to just sit with their thoughts. because there's nothing on. There would be no. If we could somehow arrange something where we just said, hey, nobody's watching the TV, nobody's gonna do anything. It's all just, but it's like, how would you get everybody to agree to something like that? Because a lot of people would just kind of go against it. But it would just be interesting to see what would happen if everybody could just sit with their thoughts for a day or an hour or however long it takes. We all just kind of think about life, think about the world. What do we want to see? How do we want things to be run? Is there any way that we can do better than the life that we have right now, where nobody feels like they have a purpose anymore? Everyone feels lost. Is there a better way to, do this system than to have everybody just go into a job that they hate, to work for a boss that they don't like, to then just come home and then eat a bunch of slop just so that they can repeat it again the next day? Like, what is this life all about? People have stopped doing what they love doing. They don't have any passions because they either don't have the money for it, or they're just, because they've become so attached to material bullshit, so they don't have anything left over for anything like artistic pursuits in a lot of cases. Self-expression. All they do is just kind of do a bunch of bullshit on their phones. Oh, it's me, Sora. How you doing? I think the distraction increases with every year more and more. So may conflicts, TV shows, video games, social media, doom scrolling, VR, AI. I don't think it's getting better. Yeah, no. Like, people have tried to get off social media, but apparently it's not really working very well, Like, there's this whole kind of rebellion thing against, like the whole thing of people. It's just there's not a big movement for it, is there? I mean, it's just that for a lot of people, they rely on social media. That's the thing, especially like some businesses actually rely on social media. They utilize that, and it's so anyway, it's just so people will just put out whatever addictive content because that's their income stream. So they put out all this AI, they put out whatever content is going to get people to keep watching, because it's like a business to them. They depend on that. So they will do whatever it takes to keep people. They will do whatever it takes to keep people watching. That's what they do. Is they'll find algorithms that keep people hooked. So some people can try and go against it all, but it's just never going to be enough, I don't think. Some people might say the toothpaste is already out the tube now. It's too late. It's tough. It's tough. This is what it is. I don't know if there's any going back now. I just see things just keep getting worse, but maybe there'll be a point where people get so sick of the AI that's kind of like a turning point where the things really could turn around in a positive way, because that's what some people predict, that maybe things could eventually become better. I don't know. Could things actually get to a point where people decide, fuck it, we're going to go back out and meet people in real life and try and connect in a meaningful way rather than this superficial online bullshit? What's a great achievement? I'm 30 years old. No, not Bloody Mary, no. Oh, sorry. Why show you kitchen? I don't know, it's just... Hang on a second. Alright, so anyway, here we go. Yeah, I do live alone. I mean, it depends. The rent prices are different in different parts of the UK. But currently where I live, it's not too bad. But I know in other places it can be really bad, like in London, for example. But people tend to get paid a lot more to compensate for that. You know? Like, so yeah, just, yeah, so if it's like an area where they get paid a lot, if it's an area where they get paid more, the prices are going to be higher. It's just inflation and whatever. It's just, you know, basically more money flowing, then prices tend to be higher. Places like London or the other big cities, even York, I mean, it's generally going to be fairly expensive in some, especially in the centre of York. Like, you're looking at maybe like, some places it might cost like £1,000 a month to rent a little place or something, but whereas London it can cost like £2,000 a month for a fucking bed sit or something in some places, or even more. It's a joke, but you know, it's just, I'm 30 years old. 8 to 900. Where are you from? But yeah, it's just, but you're probably going to get paid more to compensate for that, like. But isn't minimum wage pretty much the same everywhere though, or something? I don't know. So I was looking into like prices and stuff, but it's like, we've always had the issue of just, with all the inflation and all the prices going up, but it's like, I think the, you know, wages do kind of, you know, tend to go up with inflation as well, so, I mean, but some might argue that increasing the minimum wage could lead to prices going up. I don't know if that really makes sense, but some say that, well, okay, well, if we're going to have to pay workers more, then that's fine, we'll just put the prices up then. I don't know, some argue that that doesn't work like that, but I was thinking, well, to me it kind of makes sense that you would put prices up to kind of compensate for higher minimum wages, because let's say you've got someone working at Tesco, for example, and they're, in a lot of cases, going to be on minimum wage. So then they'll be like, oh, well, we're just going to put the prices up. Or if they're going to put the minimum wage up, then we're just going to, you know. I don't support Tommy Robinson though. Hello, Brian Hedges. How you doing? No, I don't vote for any of them. Annabella, no. Brown Eyed Girl. Remember that song, guys? Brown Eyed Girl. Is it Van Morrison or something? PewDiePie is here. Well, really? Well, that's your opinion. Anyway. Time we're on 1:03 AM. But like I was saying, you know, this whole, you know, the economy's always been a bit shit, really, but like some things you could say have gotten better though. Like a computer back in 2000, let's say, a lot of them were like a few £100 back then, and they were like a lot slower, they were a lot worse quality. So with people earning, you know, more, but then some technology's actually gotten cheaper. But then again, phones are quite expensive now, a lot of them. Like, look at these iPhones, you know, over $1 grand. I mean, it's a joke, isn't it, for a fucking phone? Like, and iPhones, I don't think they're really that much better to justify the cost, are they? I mean, iPhones are known for having some problems as well, so anyway, thank you for subscribing. I mean, yeah, he might have, exposed certain things, but it's just that he seems to be like, the whole kind of, maybe he has something to do with Mossad or something. I don't know, that's what someone's saying, that, or at least has some kind of ties to Israel, because they seem to have some kind of investment in that. So what does he actually really care about? To me, he's just kind of there to sort of pander to whatever will get him money and whatever. But then he just fucked off to Spain, didn't he, or something? Yeah, so much of a patriot or something, I don't know. To me, it's just actions speak louder than words. It's like, yeah, he can say some things to try and kind of get people to support him and be like, oh, well, at least he's exposed a certain thing, but then no, I'm not marrying you now. Oh gosh. So no, I don't support him. I think that he's not exactly. I don't know. I don't really think he's got the best intentions. It's like, yeah, he might have exposed certain things, but then is he doing it with good intentions? Is what I'm saying. Like, I just see him as kind of like a grifter, in my opinion. And then it's like the whole thing of, like, oh, the whole arrest thing and all that. It's like people almost seeing him as some kind of martyr or something. I don't know. I just find that this whole kind of, like the whole sort of Zionism and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, I just feel like he is not really somebody who I would trust. Okay. Yeah. Well, there is that, isn't there? It's just like, I mean, like I said, maybe he's got some points about some of these gangs and stuff like that, but I do think that it causes a lot of division, and I do talk about some of the fucked up shit sometimes with like we've got all these like for example in York there is a problem with, I've heard some stuff going on with some migrant hotel. There's a place called Stay City, and apparently there's between 400 and 500 of them, of these migrants in that hotel. So, like, what the fuck are they doing housing these people in these places, When you've got people on the streets, like, something clearly isn't right here, is it, Why do we have our own people, like, and you could say, well, some of them might have got their own fault or whatever. Well, you could say, well, they shouldn't have bothered coming here in the first place, And are they really, kind of fleeing war-torn countries? I mean, why are they? So there is problems, and there has been some uptick in crime and stuff like that. So, but I mean, but some of the kind of narratives that some of these people push are kind of a bit exaggerated, and kind of like when you focus all entirely on Muslim gangs, it's like, I think you guys try and see the bigger picture of things really, and just kind of, because I've heard that a lot of the crime actually comes from things like, like higher ups, and I mean, Yeah, someone was telling me about this actually, about how, say, something about, was it blue collar crime or something like that? A lot of these, things like malpractice and stuff like that, and like, I think we should be putting more focus on the fucking government and the corporations and shit like that. It does seem like they're trying to sow seeds of division. You could say that that's maybe what the Israel lobby is trying to do, to try and create chaos, basically. Like the whole kind of Israel-Palestine thing. It just seems like they're trying to create chaos in the world, and then kind of, and then sort of like be the ones to be kind of martyred and kind of made to look like they're, like the good guys or something, but I don't know, I'm just not really buying it. Hello, I'm a human. I mean, you could argue that, that Tommy's, said some good things and exposed certain things, but it's just the way that these people go about things and creating this division of, like, when you make everything about race, your whole content is about race, then I feel like it's just, I don't know. But I don't know if, like, Israel has anything to do with that, or it's just that he's, doing that because he knows that his crowd of people are going to resonate with it. I don't think he's necessarily doing it because that's what he really believes in. He's just kind of found some kind of way to just stir up divisions. Like you might get people who are on the woke side of things, for example, who will sow seeds of division and try to just make everything about race on their side, saying stuff like Black Lives Matter. Well, it's like, well, yeah, they do, but also every other life matters as well. And this whole focus on one race of people, I think, is the problem. Whether you're from the left or right of the politics, it's like they want us all to be at each other's throats, whether it's races, sexes, sexualities, etc. Yeah, does feel like that sometimes, but I think a lot of it is media and politics shaping the narrative. Yeah, but I just feel like these grifters aren't really helping in the grand scheme of things. That they are just there to kind of make money. Like, you've got Nigel Farage, I don't think he's actually genuinely on the people's side. And I think if you think that, then I think you've, to be honest, mistaken on that. I don't think any of these people, whether it's Trump, Farage, Tommy Robinson, any of these people, are actually on the people's side. Like, they just act like they're just part of some kind of movement, but really they're just kind of trying to, like, lead people down the garden path, in my opinion. They just... Yeah. Regular people usually aren't the villains. They are just stuck in situation they didn't create. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But it's just that we've got these, kind of divisive things like, whenever we're talking about races. I mean, I can agree on certain things about the certain issues on both sides. Like, for example, you've got, say, for example, the right wing, they'll talk about escalating crimes and things like that on certain, from certain groups of people. But I can also agree that there are certain issues within certain races of people. Now, you could argue that a lot of that isn't race specific, and it's been over exaggerated, and like I said, a lot of it is kind of, I feel like, missing the bigger picture of things. It's like when people talk about things like police brutality, if you actually look at the statistics, that it also happens to a lot of white people as well, so it doesn't just happen to black people. Yeah, they might be more likely to get victims of that, but it also happens to other races of people as well. And that it should be a focus on addressing injustices as a whole, rather than making it all about a race. Like, we should be trying to just, like, stamp out any, like, criminal behavior that, whatever race it's from. And, yeah, if you're coming into this country, you should be vetted, you should be, have a clean record, and if they don't have a clean record, it's like, but then how would you even know? So it's like, I think that unless they can be proven to be, good people with, like, qualifications and a job to come here to do, then I don't think they should be allowed in. Like, they're draining this country's resources, so I can understand why people are frustrated. Like, why is it that we keep housing these people in hotels? Who the fuck is paying for that? Somebody has to pay for it, you know? Somebody has to pay for all the, it's got costing fucking billions of taxpayers' money, you know? Somebody has to pay for all that. But at the same time, it's not the only problem, and it's, it's the government that's the problem. And that's what should be focused on. And, well, yeah, but it's like, that doesn't benefit the average person though, does it? You know? But I don't give a fuck about some English man benefiting from fucking that, you know? Fuck off. I don't give a fuck. They're all fucking greedy fucking bastards. We're talking about, is this really in the best interest of the people of this country, you know? Like, it's not, I don't think it's in the best interest of a lot of people to house these people, to then, in some cases, some of these people are to be, not be law-abiding citizens. Obviously, there's a lot of them that are, of course, but why are we allowing them into this country to be unvetted and just... So, I can agree with that side on that sort of thing, but it's just, like I said, we shouldn't focus entirely on these sort of things, because again, it can cause a lot of division. And yeah, I get what you're trying to say. I agree, there's a lot of issues that aren't actually race specific. There are systemic problems that affect different groups in different ways. Yeah, you can argue that some people are affected more by certain things, like, but we should be looking at it as a whole to try and correct all these problems, and like, we should just be creating fairness for all. So yeah, it's a systemic issue that's like, if we're talking about things like police brutality or whatever, or other problems you could say about, kind of like, if we're talking about things such as poverty as well, like, I mean, if anything, some of the most likely people on the streets in this country are actually white males, but that's not really seen as very politically correct to talk about, because, that kind of goes against the whole kind of woke kind of ideology that white men are somehow, the oppressors, and that it kind of just seems to sort of contradict that narrative, doesn't it? I mean, if like white men are the enemy and that they are the oppressors and that they are privileged and all that, then we wouldn't see that, would we? We wouldn't see that, because that is you know what I mean? But you could argue that assuming a white person is racist, for example, is racist in of itself. Or assuming a man is sexist, you could argue, is sexist in of itself. It's prejudice. We can't assume things about somebody based on their sex, their race, their sexuality, or anything. We should take people as individuals. Makes more sense than turn everything into a race versus race issue. Yeah, exactly. There you go, there's the Trump. We're going to take over Greenland. This is what I mean, because whenever you try and make everything about race, if anything, that just ends up not addressing the problems, because then everyone gets so obsessed with arguing over race, instead of actually trying to address the problems, which, if we could all just come together and be like, okay, there's serious problems here, not race specific, that you can argue about certain races being more disproportionately affected by things, but let's address the systemic problems as a whole. You would have a lot more success doing that, I think. Yeah, homelessness and police violence are systemic issues, not just race issues. A lot of white men are also affected, especially with homelessness. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's now you could say that some of it is their own fault, but it's like, but the point is that the system has failed these people. The system isn't doing anything to actually prevent these things from happening in the first place. The system is just saying, oh well, if you're a straight white man, then kind of just like good luck to you kind of thing, and just we're not interested in you because we're only interested in dealing with the minorities of society, like people of color, people from any kind of LGBTQ, whatever letters that they've added this week, or some kind of, like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, if you tick one of those boxes, then the system will kind of like try to, it seems, be a bit more kind of, sympathetic towards you, I guess you could say, in a lot of ways. Oh, how many victim points have you got? The more victim points you have, the better, it seems, in some ways. Yeah. Let's make the Roman Empire huge again. It doesn't popular political narratives, so it gets ignored. I think the real problem is that people focus more on ideology and labels than on actually the systems that are harming everyone. The bigger picture gets lost. Exactly, this is what I'm talking about. This is why things like the BLM movement failed, because it focuses on all these details instead of the bigger picture. Instead of focusing on all the injustice, we've got a lot of issues like corporate greed and the thing is, you had all these companies getting behind things like BLM, and yet people would, some people would support that. Shouldn't we be against all that, Because there's supposed to be such like leftists or whatever, but yet as soon as a corporation gets behind their fucking cause, it's like all the woke bullshit, and then you've got the corporations getting behind it, like Disney getting behind it and whatever. And then all these woke people, oh yay, they're behind our cause. Are you fucking stupid? They don't give a fuck about your cause. Like, all they want to do is, make money. And you're just going to suck up to it. They've got you by the balls. What you mean Kirkified? What the hell is that Charlie Kirk? I mean, whatever. The system has all these people by the balls. Like, they create the illusion of advocacy. They don't give a damn. You know what I mean? They don't give a damn about all the issues in society. And you could argue that some of these companies even are the ones perpetuating a lot of the injustices that they're going on about diversity and all that. It's this whole new left that is just, I cannot support it, because they seem to care more about labels, like you said, labels and ideology, rather than, it's like they'll argue over semantics, over things like, identity, like in terms of things like transgender and whatever. To me, it's just it's a distraction. Like, some people say, oh, well, we've decided now that male and female can also mean, like some kind of social construct. Like, we've got male and female, like biologically male and female, but then the same words to mean something completely different as well. And that's what people are arguing over, is definition. Who actually changed the definition to also include a bunch? It's like, I guess it was only once the whole thing of, people used to call it transsexual or whatever, but then it's like, well, you can't change your sex because there's biological things that you cannot change about yourself. So where do you draw the line? And that's what it all comes down to, is some people say, oh, well, like, if I decide to, kind of wear a dress and do a bunch of other things, and then I'm a woman, but until like certain times ago, and it was like, you were just seen as like a feminine man or something. Like you've always had tomboys, these more kind of masculated, like women, for example. They might have been into football and more masculine hobbies. They might even dress in a bit more of a kind of tomboyish sort of way. Like they might wear things like tracksuits and more kind of just, you know what I mean? So basically, it all just ends up coming down to semantics and what people define as a woman. Because you had that whole thing of Matt Walsh, like, what is a woman? Because you could ask two different people and they would give you a different answer. And this is what people are arguing over. Why does this shit even fucking matter? Why are people so obsessed with labels? Why do they need to attach themselves so much to a label? Why don't you just, just be your own self? Why do you have to have a label attached to that? Why is that necessary? Just let people see you as they see you. You can see yourself as you see yourself. They have the right to do that, even if you think they are wrong. In a liberal society, they talk about liberalism. Shouldn't liberalism also be about, that the whole thing of live and let live kind of thing, and just kind of, we're all entitled to our own opinion. we have to respect that everyone's gonna. It's like we can be open-minded and allow people to to be, but that doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that these people say. You can still be kind of like allow people to just disagree. Isn't that what liberalism is about? It's about freedom. It's about freedom of speech and things like that, you know. But it seems like a lot of these so-called liberals don't actually believe in true liberalism. They only believe in liberalism for themselves, but then if somebody disagrees with them on certain topics, then they'll just try and demonize them and say that they are a bigot or something, like how they might say that if you're disagreeing with them on, say, like the whole kind of race ideology shit, then you're a bigot. You know what I mean? That you're just some kind of nasty bigot or something. And they have the right to say that, but then, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, they can say that, but it's like, if you try to defend yourself and then they just like keep attacking you, you get the mob after you. You know, some call it like the woke mob or whatever. It's like all those people that used to be on Twitter, but they're now on a thing called Blue Sky or something, but it's this hive mind of just kind of like bunch of NPCs, it seems, who just they all sing from the same hymn sheets, you know, just the same kind of talking points. Like none of them hardly even seem to have a independent thought, because they have to all think the same way because they've all become invested in that group of people. It's kind of like the whole mass formation psychosis thing. Kind of like what happened in 2020 when so many people went along with the narrative, you know? Like when so many people would literally like spend 20 seconds washing their hands or wearing masks in their fucking car. I mean, how crazy can you get? That so many people got so, you know, hoodwinked to just think that they weren't wearing a mask in their own car. And some people even wearing masks outdoors. I remember that, when people would literally wear masks out in the open. Like you would walk past and you would see people wearing these masks when they're not even inside. Like, why are you wearing these things? Like, what? You really think that you're going to catch something like standing out in the fresh air? I mean, it's kind of unlikely, really, and you're unlikely to spread it in that sort of scenario, really, most likely. But people would just kind of, you know, go along with it. Not a lot of people weren't questioning things for a while. But yeah, a lot of the stuff didn't really age very well because, you know, we were told that certain things were effective or more effective than what they actually turned out to be. Certain treatments, certain precautions, like I said, with the mask wearing, they were making out like it was so important to do, but a lot of people then ended up kind of like coming closer together, because then they thought, oh, well, the masks are, you know, oh, it shields us, so then the whole social distancing thing went out the window at that point. So it was actually, you could argue, it ended up actually causing more transmission. Now, I know some people completely denied the existence of that whole thing, but I do think that there was something going around. I definitely caught something. I was not ill for a couple of days with it, but and I still had some symptoms for quite a few days after that. But it, you know, it was just like a virus that, you know, like, I mean, if it hadn't have been like this hyped up thing, then it's like, you know, like how we get like a flu going around or some other virus going around. It's just, I think a lot of people would have just thought it's just some kind of weird kind of flu or a weird cold or whatever going around, that depending on how your symptoms were, I mean, yeah, some people got very, very ill, but I mean, it was, on the whole, it seemed like most people were saying that they've been worse with the flu. So that's what the world shut down over. And anyway, why is the chat gone dead? Hang on. I have to just refresh or something. I missed a lot of shutting gyms. Yeah, this is the dumbest shit you can do, isn't it? Like, it's a place to, like, you know, help with you. Okay, Tom, sorry I missed it. I missed it in a lot of comments there. So, basically, yeah, like, shutting gyms is like, why would you do that? Gyms are there to get people healthy. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people actually gained weight during the lockdowns, which actually makes you more susceptible to catching the virus, you know? Like, how is it a good idea to, like, do all that, you know, to, like, but some people actually did lose weight because maybe in some cases it actually was a wake-up call. But, yeah. Okay. The trolls in the chat. Anyway, I'm going to be getting going in a minute, but yeah. Yeah, basically that's the thing. It's like, no, I'm not saying that. Yeah, like there should have been. I mean, I think that the best way to deal with things was just like what some like places like Sweden were doing, where like it wasn't like completely like lax, but it was like a more balanced approach where it was like, yeah, we perhaps shouldn't be hanging around in massive groups, but you know, but to have like kind of, I think, to be honest, I think a lot of this stuff was done deliberately. A lot of the lockdowns and stuff. Like, some people think it's like a compliance test or something, or some might even say, go as far to say that it's some kind of corporate, you know, sort of like thing, like more of corporate takeover and more money being kind of, you know, sort of like transferred from the poor to the rich. So was that what it was all about? You look at the net worth of the top billionaires, a lot of the big companies flourished during those times, like it was a way to kind of get a lot of the smaller businesses shut down because certain businesses were allowed to stay open, but yet other businesses not. Why should McDonald's be allowed to stay open, but yet your small independent businesses had to shut down? Like, it's just not really, a lot of it wasn't fair, a lot of it wasn't just. Like, a lot of the junk food places were allowed to stay open, but yet a lot of the places selling healthier foods, like cafes and stuff like that, had to shut. Surely there was a way that they could have done things, like, without, you know, having to shut everything down. I mean, from what I understand, it was mostly these, like, big, massive events, especially indoor gatherings, that were major contributors to spread. So things like, I mean, if you've got massive gatherings like festivals and stuff like that, also, like, when nightclubs are packed out, things like that are going to be the main sources of spread. So, yeah, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Yeah, no. Yeah, but whatever. No, some people can say, oh, well, they just kind of did what they thought was best at the time, but there was actually, if you remember, the Oxford University with the herd immunity strategy. So I was going to say, right, so shield the vulnerable people and allow the rest of the people to kind of keep going more or less as normal. With maybe certain restrictions on large gatherings, but just as a way to try and keep the spread to a controllable level. But ultimately, almost everybody's had this virus by now. Like, there wasn't really ever going to be any stopping it. And some might say, oh, well, we needed to try and stop it until we had the certain injection. But we can't really, guarantee that those things are either going to work very well or may have unintended consequences. So why would you want to rely on something like that? You would rather shut down the whole economy for, many, many months in total. It came out to that a lot of businesses had to be shut down forcibly. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, well, we have to try and stop people from catching it because we don't know some might say, oh, because we don't know the long-term effects or whatever. But then we don't know the long-term effects of if we start injecting people, especially with these new things that they put in people's arms. They were so quick to do all that, even though we don't know the long-term effects of that. So, no, Gen X, that's what I mean. It's just a bunch of gaslighting, I think, isn't it? It's like,
I'd rather take my chances on a virus rather than, some fucking bunch of new technology that fuck knows what it could do to you. I mean, yeah. Well, that's what it is. It's just, smaller businesses getting fucked over. But that's what tends to happen with this fucking bullshit system. I guess you could say it just kind of exposes a systemic fault in the system. So, I don't know. But I'm going to get going anyway. Yeah. Alright, Lions, how you doing? Hello, Leo Lee. Yeah, I'm from the UK. I'm sure you asked me this before. Alright, I'll see you all tomorrow. But yeah, just, I mean, it should have been an opportunity for, people to really dial in their health. If you've got some public health crisis, wouldn't it be best to focus on actually addressing the health, like the obesity, all these things, but yet nothing was done about it. You would think if something is really that scary of a virus like that they would actually try to tackle one of the main causes of severe illness then is obesity and metabolic health. But yet, a lot of the corporations that selling this bullshit and getting richer and things like Nestle and whatever, McDonald's. So there's just so much contradicting bullshit with the whole thing that it makes me think that the whole thing was planned. Surely there couldn't be so much fuck-ups during the whole thing for it to just all be, oh, it's just incompetence. I just don't buy that. Now, some people think it was just governments just being incompetent. I don't think it's just that, personally, but... Oh yeah, Just Eat was just started becoming everywhere. A lot of these things just popping up, like Uber and all these companies. A lot of things just become kind of like, yeah. No, well, I don't know, but we're gonna see what's next, I guess. What is their next plan? You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that people weren't really given an informed choice about, okay, like, would you rather risk taking this thing that we don't know the long-term effects, and we found that there might be some risk of heart problems or something in certain individuals, but if they're not being given that, or not clearly given that, then they should not be allowed to give it to them. Yeah, it's bullshit, But right, I'm gonna get going. I'm just gonna have some food. So yeah, all right. See you all tomorrow. Bye.